Pilates. Welcome again. This is video 2 for the Introduction to Pilates course, and this one's going to go through our 10 warm-up exercises that you will be learning within the class setting. This is just a reminder of what those exercises are because there's quite a lot to take in. Okay, so the warm-up exercises do reinforce some of those principles we were discussing, and I will try and repeat that as we're going along. So we're going to lay down, because that's quite often the easiest place to start with, so that you can feel a bit more movement going on through the body. So we're going to think about our breathing. In fact, before we lay down, we'll just be in a seated position, and you're just going to allow yourself to fold over your knees and really let the breath come into the back of the rib cage. You're just going to breathe in and breathing out. Really try and feel the lungs expanding, all coming to the outside of the back and drawing back in. And you want to feel that subtle pelvic floor engagement, breathing in and breathing out. A few more. One more time. Good. So we'll always take a moment or two with every session just to get you to focus on your breathing, to start to let some of the tension out of your body. Okay, we're going to roll back and we're going to have our feet hip distance. This is a kind of Pilates stance. Head will be down and you'll have your head pad if you need it to make your neck feel more comfortable. We're looking at where the pelvis is, so we're just going to rock the pelvis forward and back, and we're looking for a position where it's nice and level across the hips. Now, we didn't discuss neutral and imprint in the previous video, but we will here. So neutral, we did mention that the spine ideally wants to be in a nice S shape, and we want that position whether we're laying down, seated or standing. When you're laying down, just notice, where does your pelvis go? Where is your spine? Are you pushed into the mat, or are you really arched, or in between? We're looking for that ideal in between. So not pushed into the mat, not rolling back all the way, and also not arched. So a little bit in between. I can almost fit my hand under your back, and the pelvis, the hip bones are quite level. So you could put your hands on your hips and do that rocking sensation, and you're looking for where they rest flat across the pelvis. You could almost pop a cup of tea there. So neutral, little gap. Now if we were referring to imprint, which we might use if we're taking the legs off the floor for some of the harder exercises, we would be allowing our spine to go towards the mat, but we're doing it quite consciously for this. So we're now bringing our hip bones towards our rib cage and just rolling back. And you can feel a little bit more tension there as you roll into the mat, and then just going to release it back. Now we usually encourage an out breath, so you breathe out, you roll back, and you can breathe in and relax it. This is not meant to be too tense. You're just gently moving your body, getting that awareness of that you can get the hips to move, you can get your spine to move. Don't worry if it's a bit resistant, just take it gently, don't force it. And then we're just going to settle back into that neutral position, and we're going to think about more going on through the body through the warm-up exercises. So we're going to try and release some tension through the hip in what we call a hip release. And the hip release is allowing the thigh to come out from the hip socket. You've not just let it go, you haven't collapsed over. You're opening and then sliding that leg away and rolling back in through the thigh and back. So we're allowing this big range of movement at the hip joint, which often gets a bit stiff. And all the time we're trying to keep our hips level as we do it. So we've got this awareness that the ribs are still attached to the pelvis. We've not started to arch our spine or push it into the mat. So we just do a couple one way, and then we do the other. We breathe in and we breathe out. That's the breath we encourage. However, I just want you to do it and breathe comfortably so that your body is working. And then we do it again, so that inward rotation and open out. We would do that on both legs to try and free up that tension through the hip, allowing the thigh to go out to the side, but you've got this control. As I said, you're not letting your bottom come off the mat just because your leg has gone out to the side. And we always return the feet back to hip distance, and we just recheck, have we gone into the mat or are we up? Okay? So from here, we're going to think about a little bit of rotation through the spine. Again, take the move gently if you're not used to it. So the knees will come together and the arms will go out to the side. And just slowly, you're allowing your knees to go over just to let that spine move, keeping the shoulders onto the mat. You'll get quite a nice feeling of stretch going on as you feel those abdominals connecting between your ribs and your pelvis. They're holding and watching that you don't overdo the move. And then you're gently drawing your hips back as you breathe out. So we breathe in at the center and we breathe out to roll over. We breathe in as we hold it and we breathe out to draw the hips back. So I'll do that one more time on each side. We do about 3 to 5 moves in the warm-ups just to get you starting to get some fluid around the joints, synovial fluid moving, because we need movement to kind of get that joint working. And we just roll over, no tension in the neck and shoulders, and then just bring the hips back to center. So we're just trying to get that bit more movement around the middle of the back, which can get quite stiff. So from here, we're going to go onto all fours. So we're going to roll over, come up, and go onto our hands and knees. And we want the knees at hip distance, wrists roughly in line with the shoulder, your bottom slightly sticking out and your head is lifted. Head and pelvis kind of go together. So if they're sticking up, if they're going to curve under, they'll go together. And if they come up together, okay? So all we're going to do is gently draw up through the center of our stomach. We're going to breathe in first. And as you breathe out, just roll through gently, drawing your tummy muscles upwards. You breathe in and you breathe out and ripple through. Just let the breath happen. If you can't get the breathing, just move. See how your body reacts. It might prefer to breathe in through the move. But ideally out is the easiest to breathe out as you flex. The body tends to prefer to flex as you breathe out because it feels more natural. We'll just do 2 more. So I'm not tensing my bum. I'm just trying to get my spine to move. Just allowing that tension out of it. One more time. Good. And we tend to encourage sitting back into your heels as long as your knees are alright. Just to have a little stretch after some of the moves on all fours and when we're using our back. Okay? So we're starting to warm our spine up a bit more. And now we're going to carry on, but we're going to do it from the floor. So we're back into that nice neutral position. No head pat now if you have. And if you need a towel there, that's not too bad. If it's solid, you might want to just pop it to the side because we're rolling our hips away and we don't want to put tension on the neck. So you breathe in. As you breathe out now, we're going to roll towards that mat. I've used my abdominal muscles and then my bottom helps me pick up. Got a nice sense of openness through my hips to my knees. My big toe is still in contact with the mat, so even weight spread. And then I'm going to roll it back down, trying to get as much movement through that back as possible. If you're stiff, you just go gently. You might only go part way up and part way down. A little is better than nothing at all. We'll do a few more times. We're breathing out as we come up. We'll have a breath in to hold the position and a breath out to roll it back down. Just one more time. It's a nice sensation of trying to move each section of your spine or as much as you can, and then rolling it all the way back down. So that's a hip roll going up and down. So we're going to start thinking a little bit further up the body and the shoulders and the rib cage to warm them up and get them ready. So quite often we use a fitness circle, but I'm just going to have my arms up, and all we're going to do is just reach the arms overhead as you breathe in, and breathe out, pull them back down. And as we do this movement, what we're trying to avoid is sticking your rib cage out and arching your back, because then your abdominals are put on a really kind of big stretch, which leaves your lower back a bit vulnerable. So we're trying to keep the rib cage in line with the pelvis, with the hips, and that connection staying neutral without overexpanding through the chest, and then we pull back down. So if you can only go to about there, that's fine. Don't go into that because that's not a good place, okay? We'll just do a couple more. We're just breathing in because that feels quite natural to lengthen the body on the in-breath. 2 more. And all the time we're encouraging you to breathe more deeply. Good. So we've thought about the rib cage lifting and expanding and trying to keep control. We're going to think about the shoulders moving forward and back, so coming round the rib cage. So you're going to breathe in, they come forward, and you breathe out. Feel the shoulder blades glide nearer, and you might want to feel that against the floor and the mat. Breathing in, we reach, and breathing out, we're drawing back. So again, we're encouraging the joint to move. Want to get a bit of this synovial fluid around the joint so that it can move more freely and is getting warmer for some of the harder exercises. Just one more time. And we're just going to bring the arms down. We want a slightly bigger move now around the whole joint. So you're going to breathe in and breathe out, swoop the arms around. Breathe in and breathe out. Nice and long and strong. Spine is staying pretty comfortable. I'm not altering it, sticking it out or flexing into the mat. Breathe in and breathe out. And then we're going to change directions. We come out and we pull back in. Breathing in all the time, deepening that breath, trying to relax through the body. 2 more. Now I'm just going to bring the hands back down, and we're just going to let those shoulders come up towards the ears. So you're just going to draw them up and then consciously feel them lengthen away as though someone's pulling your head away from your shoulders at the same time. Just breathe comfortably and allow the shoulders to move and stretch through that neck. 2 more. You can breathe in or breathe out, whatever feels more comfortable. And then holding the shoulders and chest open, we're just going to think about the neck and moving it. So we'll do a tiny head nod, literally making a tiny double chin and then eyeline back up. Just breathing in and breathing out. And we're just trying to get the top 2 vertebrae of the neck to move, because if we are going to do any more flexion through our spine, the head needs to be in the right place. Just nodding and return. Just one more time. And return. Good. So there are some of the warm-up moves that we use. We might vary the order, but they're to start getting your body ready for a stronger exercise activity. So the next video we will go into some of the main exercises from the list and just start to reinforce again the principles and trying to move nice and freely. Okay, thank you again. Do let me know if you've got any questions. Do email me or give me a call. Thank you.